Okay, we are going to take a look at the Pennsylvania Science Standards. So I've actually included 3 separate documents here for you to take a look at, kind of depending on what your certification is that you're going for. For some reason, they don't group all of the standards together for K through 12. They have separate standards for PA early childhood. So that would be like pre-K to grade 2. And then they have separate standards for the PA academic standards for science and technology, which goes from grades 3 to 8. They also have separate, they don't really have common core standards for science. They have the PA academic standards for science, but they do have core standards for writing in science and technical subjects, and this is specific to grades 6 through 12. They say that the writing for the elementary grades is already kind of incorporated into the other standards for those grade levels, so you don't have to worry about it so much. But we'll take a look at each of these. So I want to remind you that when we look at the standards, I'm going to start with the middle one first here. You can access these documents through PDE, which we'll go to in a second as well. But for starters here, with the academic standards for science and technology, again, it goes from grades 3 through 8. And there are, just like with the math standards, there are 4 different sections. So the first section here is on the biological sciences. So again, looking at the codes for understanding the standards. So the number 3 indicates that we are in fact talking about the science standards. The 0.1 here indicates that we're talking about the biology standards. And then underneath that, the next section, so 3.2 is physical science and for chemistry and physics. And then we have 3.3, which focuses on earth and space science. And then 3.4, which gets into the technology and engineering education standards. So obviously there are subsections under each of those as well. So when we look at the standards and the codes, so again, you can see the shortcut right here, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4. After that, whatever number would come after these digits, so like let's just scroll down and look at an example here. All right, so here, right, we are in the biological sciences, so 3.1, but then if we look at the next code down here, it shows you for the grade levels. So 3.1.4 would be grade 4, right? 0.5, grade 5, and so on. The letters that follow after it are the subcategories that go with that particular standard, and you can also see those over on the left-hand side here. Okay, so that's how you would read them. So again, you can notice that in this particular document, it only focuses on grades 3 through 8. It's broken down into the 4 sections, so you can see that we have the biological sciences. There's a couple pages dedicated to that. Again, so here's point A. So point A indicates organisms and cells. Point B talks about genetics, which a lot of that stuff isn't covered until the upper grades anyway. We're still in B. Here's C, which talks about evolution. And then we get into the chemistry standards. So now our numbers have changed. We're in 3.2, so the physical sciences. Part A is chemistry. Part B is physics. And that's it for that section. 3.3 is Earth and Space Sciences. Part A is on Earth structures, processes, and cycles. Part B is on the origin and evolution of the universe. And then we get into the technology and engineering education standards. So A here is the scope of technology. B is technology and society. C is technology and engineering design. And then D is abilities for a technological world. E is the designed world. And that would be it for the standards. They give you a glossary here too, which is also helpful for knowing what they want. All right, so that's just how to generally read those. So again, you can see that those ones in particular are for grades 3 through 8. If you are going for the early childhood certifications, though, you would want to refer to the PA Early Childhood Standards. In this document, though, they have, it's not just science standards, this has everything in it, which you've probably already looked at, but just to recap, if you actually scroll down to like page 20, that's where the science standards start to come into play. So you see they're broken up here. They start off with the language and literacy development. Well, let's go find science. You'll see that it's structured the same as the middle grades. And we're in math right now. Okay, so here is where the science standards start. We're on page 20, and you can see that it's written in the same format. So the standard area is still 3.1, which still refers to biological sciences, and part A still refers to living and non-living organisms. Okay, and same thing for the grade levels. You can just see that they use letters for like pre-K, so the PK, and then you still have like 0.1. 3.1, and then K would be for kindergarten, 3.1.1 would be first grade, all right, and so on. So it's still basically the same format, just that these are embedded within all of the standards, and they're not separated out like the other ones. Okay, so you can take a look through those. And then, like I said, if you are teaching middle school, or looking forward to teaching middle school, which is great, middle school is super fun. You would also need to think about the PA core standards for writing and science. So I'm going to point this out because writing is such an important piece in the middle grades. I mean, it's important in all the grades, really, being able to write scientifically. So, but what the focus is on here, the point is that there is different ways of writing. So you have a different audience when you are writing for science versus like you're writing, you know, a creative piece. So that's kind of some of the things that you'll see throughout here when you look at the standards. Let's see. So even here, so just like I said, they're talking about students write for different purposes and audiences. Students write a clear and focused text to convey a well-defined perspective and appropriate content. There's a lot of stuff in here in regards to like writing with research. So those are some things that you would also have to look at if you were looking to teach middle school, would be to consider the grade 6 through 8 band here for writing. Okay. All right, and then finally, so I included the link on our page here for going to PDE, so the SAS website. That's a real easy way to look up standards. So again, just a reminder, you would come here, click on standards. If you're creating a lesson plan for a particular grade level, you can go to view standards. You can choose the grade level that you want. So let's just say second grade. And you can choose science and technology standards. And then it will bring up the standards for you right here. They have materials and resources that you can refer to. If you remember from the previous sessions about the math, you can also create your own assessments on here, clicking on the assessment tab. So you can also look up questions that would be grade level appropriate for whatever standard you're trying to teach. You can also take a look at the curriculum frameworks. So if you click on curriculum framework, and again, choose the grade level that you're interested in. You know what, I think they haven't updated them yet for the science ones, I forgot. You know, let's see if there is the older grades yet. Let's try. All right. Well, I think they're still working on the curriculum frameworks for science. I thought they had them posted, but they don't. So, well, that's a shame. But anyway, it's still a good source, you know, for obviously looking at the standards and going from there. Sorry about that. I thought that they had them. They have them for math, which is helpful. All right, let's go back to our session. So, all right, so this section really just talks about the standards. And so you should be able to access them. You should know how to read them. You should know what the codes mean. And that's that. All right. Take care.